Hi.
Yes, we are still here.
Yeah. Do you mind?
Oh yes, I gotta put you back.
Yeah. Just so I can hear myself.
Mm-hmm.
I could do it deaf, but I don't know. I'm not method acting as a deaf person today.
Yeah, it does. It's nice to hear yourself in your ear. Although what I've noticed
Yeah.
is that like with having these new ones in, I was when I was editing that one clip that we put up. When you're scrubbing it, I realized you stay very still, and I am moving, fidgeting,
all over the fucking
moving
place?
my mic. Like I move so much during these.
That's just how I am. I'm very still in the brain, very still in the body.
Yes.
You know, mind and body very in sync and very at peace.
Mm-hmm.
And I pity those who are not at peace like I am.
Yeah. Or else it causes serious problems.
Or else it causes serious problems. Yes, exactly.
So the first thing I wanted to show is a news thing. So like the point of me bringing this up is that I'm really so fucking annoyed that we have to use fact checkers on the news.
God.
So
yeah.
this guy that I have pulled up here, his name's David Levitt, and in his bio, he's an award-winning journalist. So he's won some award.
Which award? A local like?
Who knows? But also, if you win an award for journalism, you don't put it. You just hope people go to your Wikipedia page if you do good journalism.
Yeah.
But
City of Orange Journalist of the Day.
So he
is
posts
his award.
So he posts this video. Let me get it more in the center here.
Yeah.
And you can read his caption here.
They've begun digging mass graves for New York City. #coronavirus victims. #Trump burial pits.
So
I haven't seen this yet. You deliberately didn't show me this yet.
So let's watch it.
All right.
There's no sound. So
yeah, there's no sound to it. So basically, we're overlooking a big pit that they've dug, apparently in New York, New York. And this is a video from Now This. Where the fuck? We're looking at a building. It's next to like a lake or a coast of some sort. It's a very old, dilapidated building, and they're digging trenches around it.
All right, so you get the point.
Yeah.
So these are coffins, and this is a mass grave.
Yeah.
So read his caption again.
They've begun digging mass graves for New York City coronavirus
Now
victims.
look at what this says.
This drone footage captures New York City workers burying bodies in a mass grave on Hart Island just off the coast of the Bronx.
So here's where he's lying. Hart Island is where they bury people who have no next of kin that they can actually dictate where the body goes.
Oh.
So it's usually poor people, like people who there's like nowhere for them to put them, so they bury them here. It's like somebody who's homeless that has no family, no means to, like, no will,
Right.
They don't know what to do with them. So this has nothing to do with the coronavirus at all. Nothing to do with Trump. This has been going on forever in New York.
Yeah.
And this is our journalist.
That's very cool. Wait, let's click on him. Let's see. His name is David Levitt.
The last thing I want to say, because there is like a slight caveat to the truth on this. And the truth is that people could theoretically end up being buried here, because normally the coroner, they make the deal with New York. They say, okay, we will for 30 days, we'll try our best to find a next of kin for this person.
Yeah.
But because this pandemic is going on, they've now lowered it to 14 days.
Wow.
Because they don't have places to store the bodies.
Yeah.
So, but if you have family that's directly connected to you, they'll know. They'll figure out something. So, I mean, I guess the fear you could have if you really wanted to be an idiot like this guy is that some people may get lost in the weeds and end up here. You know what I mean? But so like, and also this like bodies that have nowhere to go has been a serious problem, and it's a serious problem.
Well, bodies don't just disappear.
Right.
When homeless people die in the street, 3 a day in LA, they don't just disappear. They have to be buried or cremated somewhere. And they have to do something with them.
And cremation is oftentimes what happens. Like, so, but a lot of it has to do with what's in your will. So, like, for example, I worked a job when I was, and then we'll look at this guy's profile. But I worked a job when I was 18, 19, and what the job was going on a boat, and we would like scatter remains for people who had no kin to do it. So like we would get like remains from the state to then scatter in the ocean.
Wow.
And so if you it's for people who had no family, but they put it in their will that this is what I want to have done. It's actually less expensive and less laborious for them to do this, which than it is to burn all the bodies that they
Yeah.
they can't take care of. So let's go to David Levitt's profile.
David
here.
Levitt. His header is at real Donald Trump blocked you. You are blocked from following. Well, that's his header.
Right.
He is so proud to be blocked by Donald Trump. He is followed by Gaming Mentor 101.
Of course he is.
That's surprising to me, actually. I like her shield thing next to her name.
Well, she's a protector
She
of
is, yeah.
trans people or something.
She's a warrior. So his thing is, what? He's an award-winning multimedia journalist from CBS, AXS, Yahoo, Examiner.
It's just that's who he's contributed to, basically.
Yeah, I don't. Ugh. But I mean, like at the very least, he could have looked this up.
Well, and
he's a journalist.
No, but
we don't have to do that for him.
But here's the really fucked up part. So if we find the now this video, oops, now this bodies maybe. Because it's so now read the caption for the now this thing that he cut out.
Yeah, this drone footage captures New York City workers burying bodies in a mass grave on Hart Island just off the coast of the Bronx. For over a century, the island has served as a potter's field for deceased with no known next of kin or families unable to pay for funerals.
So this fuckface is purposefully manipulating you.
Yeah, very fucking cool.
And this guy's a fucking journalist. So like the top of it that had the information on it, he cut it out deliberately to make this about Trump and the coronavirus.
Yep.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah, these are people who are going to be guillotined. And, like, they will be among the first. Journalists, and then politicians, landlords, things like that.
Yeah.
They're going down.
I mean, I don't understand how someone like this can have a job anymore.
Is being on Twitter a job?
Who
is he contributing to?
Considering he contributes to all those outlets, but the other part of it too is this is the kind of shit that makes people really fucking scared.
Yeah.
Don't you understand? Nobody doesn't care because he needs to fucking dunk on Donald Trump. What a fucking retard.
And he's always worked from home. He's never been affected by other people in his life because he can insulate himself because he writes.
And probably has a fucking trust fund. Like, it's just these fucking Brooklyn pieces of shit. I'm so fucking tired of these people.
And we are not a Brooklyn-based podcast. Unfortunately, we'd like to be, but
no, I fucking would hate to live in New York.
You've never been.
Yeah, but I still because I don't want to go.
I think you would like it
for a week.
I'm gonna take you there. I will, and we will go to the island. We will go to Hart Island.
So Jacob Larson's giving the numbers. Do you mind reading them?
Yeah. So we've got 1.7 million total cases. 1.2 million active cases, 376,000 recovered, 50,000 serious, 100,000 dead. And the total cases has gone up since, I think, Wednesday. Jacob, you said 1.29 million was Wednesday, so it's gone up about 400,000 cases total.
Yeah.
In 2 days. I think the time before that, the interval before that was 300,000 in 2 days.
Greg says a lot of people are reporting funeral industry actions right now as red flags, and they're literally following typical protocol, like the refrigerated truck. Sensible should be expected, of course.
Yeah, but the thing is, people are looking at them now. People never really paid attention to these kinds of things because it was death and uncomfortable to think about. Nobody saw a hearse and was like, I'm going to take a picture about this and report on it. Now there's a reason to look at funeral homes and
we're all stuck at home just looking at this disaster data.
Yeah. And so people like, what's his face, David, tweet shit that we see on our timelines and overreact to because we don't know the full information because it's his fault that he didn't give it to us. So all eyes are on these things that more eyes have not been on in the past.
Right.
So, yes, things are facing scrutiny that are just going as expected. They're following proto.
They're following proto, brother.
Yeah.
So the next thing I wanted to show is I'm getting fucking tired of this goddamn Guido.
Oh, yeah, Fauci.
Yeah, so Dr. Anthony Fauci says the idea of Americans carrying certificates of immunity prove they have tested positive for coronavirus antibodies might have some merit, which is the creepiest, scariest fucking shit I've ever heard in my life.
Right. It's exactly... They're going to make us wear pink stars.
Because we got the gay coronavirus.
The gay coronavirus. We will get pink stars to wear. They'll embroider them into all of our clothing. It'll be government-issued jumpsuits.
I mean, how could he... Okay, so here's the thing. We had our episode the other day... we cut up that clip that we knew would get really pissed off about, giving Dr. Drew some praise, but like more so because he's he's a doctor, yes, board certified, blah 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 blah, but he's really been an entertainer, I think, like longer than he's been a practicing doctor in a hospital. You know what I mean? So I always kind of understood that by watching him, and I think I made that clear enough in that clip, but still, whatever.
People are weird.
They're just mad at they're mad at him. But this guy, I'm done with him because what has he really told us that has been useful information? Really, I feel like I've had to kind of get it from other places, and mostly from like universities that are doing studies are kind of where I'm finding much more information than this guy. And then so on top of him saying this, he's also like said, we're never gonna shake hands again. Like everything is just so weird coming from him now.
Yeah. He does the exact thing where you read the first headline and then a week later they correct the headline. He does that in his rhetoric. Yeah. So he'll talk about something so outrageous, we'll never shake hands again. We'll have pink stars embroidered on our jumpsuits. That's a joke, but like he wants us to have, tags on us saying that we've test positive for the antibodies. He'll say these things and then 15 minutes later say, that's not what I meant. Here's what the data shows. But people don't...
Lead with the data.
Lead with the data. People don't read into things that way. They see headlines. We're trained to see headlines.
Right.
And jump off of those instead of actually reading next week's headline, which is a correction. It's like Jussie Smollett, causing a hoax, and we see he gets hate crimed, and nobody remembers that it's a hoax because that's the second headline.
Right.
That's just an example. But Fauci is consistently doing this. So... why should we trust him if he exaggerates and then goes back?
I don't distrust him. I just think he needs to just not get attention for a little while. It's just not really serving much of anything. But I mean, these press conferences are like 3 hours because I've been watching most of them. And so, because there's some useful information, it does meander on to some fucking dumb things. And
right. If all of these seats, a lot of angry journalists.
That was cool.
That was we showed that on Wednesday, didn't we?
Yeah. Largely the ones that I find really boring are when there are independent or big corporations that are willing to make products to, for hospitals or whatever else. Mm-hmm. And when the CEOs get up to talk, you're just like,
ugh, pat yourself on the back, dude.
It's just, and what's funny is that when Trump's like, Susan from, why don't you come over here? Come over to, she's like, oh, fuck, I have to talk on the microphone. And so it's a lot of that of people who I don't do this.
Yeah.
And he's just like, everybody's an entertainer. We all love it. It's great. We love it.
Right. But what we're seeing is, to bring this back to Dr. Fauci, do you think he's an entertainer at heart?
No. I think that he is a great, what, there's a thing. Surgeons are
psychopaths.
Because they look at the human body as if they're fixing a car. They're like a body mechanic. And so they just start to lose grips with reality and how to communicate with the public. And that suggestion probably had no weight to him. But you need to understand you can't say dumb shit like that, especially when we're already in kind of an authoritarian government takeover right now. And then you're telling us you're going to, we're going to turn it. You're literally talking about turning into China, which is showing your papers everywhere you go. Or fucking Nazi Germany. Where are your papers? Where are your papers? It's it's not a good look or rhetoric to say shit like this.
Not a good look,
It is not. And so it's just bad. But
yeah, I totally agree.
Anyway, we're gonna move on. There's a few things I wanted to cover in the front. So, as I kind of said in the last one, the kind of vanity project that is identity politics has sort of been dying because I think a lot of people that were polite because they were hoping to do the right thing have now seen how stupid that conversation was for so long.
Yeah.
But now the checkmark journalists they need something. They need something to talk about.
Their talons are still so deeply in the flesh of identity politics.
Right. So now the one that they're talking about is that the people that are dying disproportionately are black and brown people. But they never say why. It's about because they're black and downtrodden is why they're dying. And it's
yeah, I saw one article that was actually I think you may have sent it to me. It was black and brown people are disproportionately affected. That's what we're seeing is true. But her spin was they're disproportionately affected due to hundreds of years of systemic oppression. It's show me the the proof
Right.
of that. You can speculate on these things, but you cannot tout that as journalism.
Right.
That's not a fact of any kind. And you and we have an identity that we can cling to, but choose not to.
Right.
If gay people, like the fucking AIDS crisis, if gay people were dying disproportionately, we'd be fucking up in arms. And we, at a certain point, understood what was going on, and so with our lifestyle in the 80s, we dialed back on the bath parties and the sex.
I mean, like, some people did, but the rhetoric from gay thought leaders became wear condoms for the love of God. Like, we know how this is transmitted now. Stop participating and get tested. You know, these kinds of things that
we had thought leaders, exactly.
Right.
And you were saying that before. We don't have any real gay thought leaders.
So something I wanted to pull up really quickly is statistics about diabetes. So right here, I want you to kind of read this for me if you don't mind.
Yeah, we're gonna get into some, I guess, race realism, aren't we?
I mean, it's not, but
reluctantly, I will give this data. It's from the American Diabetes Association. Diabetes by race/ethnicity. Rates of diagnosed diabetes in adults by race or ethnic background are 7.5% non-Hispanic white people, 9.2% Asian Americans, 12.5% Hispanics, 11.7% of non-Hispanic black people, 14.7% of American Indians and Alaskan natives.
The Asian one surprised me that we're less than them. That kind of blew my mind. I figured they would have been doing much better than us.
And then the breakdown is largely Filipinos, Asian Indians, and other Asian Americans is the Chinese have the lowest percentage of Asian Americans who are affected.
Right, and then Filipinos kind of make sense because
they break down the rest of them too.
Yeah,
among Hispanics, we'll see Central and South American, Cubans, Mexican Americans, and Puerto Ricans. So Mexican Americans and Puerto Ricans are higher or are more affected by this than other Central and South Americans.
Jacob Larson says out of 212 people who have died in Chicago, 142 are black. Yeah, it's a serious fucking problem. So the Surgeon General of this country addressed it, and I'll go ahead and let that play. And just to get out of the way, he sounds exactly like Mike Tyson.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
And you've heard the stats in New York City. Hispanics represent the majority of deaths. In Milwaukee County, blacks are 25% of the population, but almost 50% of the cases and 75% of the deaths. So what's going on? Well, it's alarming, but it's not surprising that people of color have a greater burden of chronic health conditions. African Americans and Native Americans, develop high blood pressure at much younger ages. It's less likely to be under control and does greater harm to their organs. Puerto Ricans have higher rates of asthma, and black boys are 3 times as likely to die of asthma as their white counterparts. As a matter of fact, I've been carrying around an inhaler in my pocket for 40 years out of fear of having a fatal asthma attack. It doesn't matter if you look fit, if you look young, you are still at risk for getting and spreading and dying from coronavirus. The chronic burden of medical ills is likely to make people of color, especially, less resilient to the ravages of COVID-19, and is possibly, in fact likely, that the burden of social ills is also contributing. Social distancing and teleworking, we know, are critical, and you've heard Dr. Birx and Dr. Fauci talk about how they prevent the spread of coronavirus, yet only 1 in 5 African Americans and 1 in 6 Hispanics has a job that lets them work from home. People of color are more likely to live in densely packed areas and in multi-generational housing situations, which create higher risk for spread of a highly contagious disease like COVID-19.
I said this last episode.
We tell people to wash their hands, but a study showed 30% of the homes on Navajo Nation don't have running water. So how are they going to do that?
Fucking hell.
In summary, people of color experience both more likely exposure to COVID-19 and increased complications from it. But let me be crystal clear. We do not think people of color are biologically or genetically predisposed to get COVID-19. There is nothing inherently wrong with you, but they are socially predisposed to coronavirus exposure and to have a higher incidence of the very diseases that put you at risk for severe complications of coronavirus. But as the Vice President shared on the call this morning, this history, and I want you to hear me say this, it does not have to be our nation's future. We're taking steps now in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic to reach, protect, and strengthen all communities impacted by this disease, and especially our communities of color. I need you to know, you are not helpless, and it's even more important that in communities of color, we adhere to the task force guidelines to slow the spread. This epidemic is a tragedy, but it will be all the more tragic if we fail to recognize and address the disproportionate impact of COVID-19 and an array of other diseases and risk factors on communities of color. The task force and this administration are determined not to let that happen. The president, the vice president have said we.
So you get it, and Jacob spoiled my punchline. There, later on in the speech, he said, so he's talking about younger people being around older people, specifically in communities of color, and he was saying, multi-generational. So he said, please don't give it to your abuela, don't give it to so he was using terms, he called black grandparents your big mama, these kinds of things. And then guess who decided to make another appearance?
No way.
Thank you, Mr. Surgeon General. Thank you. I have a quick question for you. You said that African Americans and Latinos should avoid alcohol, drugs, and tobacco. You also said do it for your abuela, do it for Big Mama and Pop. There are some people there are some people online that are already offended by that language and the idea that you're saying behaviors might.
There are some people online who are. He was just giving the speech. And also, this is the Kung Flu lady, if you don't remember.
Yes, yeah, we played her on the podcast
Can
before.
she be any more of a waste of time?
Why is she allowed there anymore?
I almost think that she's there so they can just pull clips like this of her.
What a fucking
leading to these high
joke.
death rates. Could you talk about whether or not could you, have a response for people who might be offended by the language that you used?
Well, I use that language because that's the language. I've been meeting with the NAACP, with the National Medical Association, with others. I actually talked with Derek Johnson multiple times this week, the head of the NAACP, and we need targeted outreach to the African American community, and I use the language that is used in my family. I have a Puerto Rican brother-in-law. I call my granddaddy. I have relatives who call their grandparents Big Mama. So that was not meant to be offensive. That's the language that we use and that I use, and we need to continue to target our outreach to those communities. It is critically important that they understand it's not just about them. And I was very clear about that. It's not just about what you do, but you also are not helpless. We need to do our part at the federal level. We need people to do their parts at the state level, and we need everyone, black, brown, white, whatever color you are, to follow the president's guidelines, the coronavirus guidelines, and do their part. Because when I talked to the NAACP 3 weeks ago, it's important to note that one of the things they asked me was, can you help dispel the myths in this community that people actually can't get coronavirus if they're black? That was a myth that was out there that's actually very important for us to squash here.
So do you recommend that all Americans avoid tobacco, alcohol, and drug use at this time?
Absolutely. It's especially important for people who are at risk and with comorbidities, but yes, all Americans. So thank you, and I will clarify that. All Americans need to avoid these substances.
And he framed it that way when you actually hear it. He didn't say that, because he was... The reason why she's so fucking manipulative and irritating. Number one, if you're just listening, he's black. So the Surgeon General is a very attractive black man.
Do you think he's gay?
No, I think he's just got a lisp. Maybe, I don't know. I hope so.
I feel
but
like he's gay. I get that from the gestures.
He's great though. I mean,
the hand clasping. He's definitely one of us, and he's smart. He has to be.
The other thing too is how dare he's smarter than you.
I know not me.
No, how dare her? He is so much
smarter than me.
Yes.
But you didn't have to
he's smarter
say
than
it.
all of us. Yeah.
No, but this lady thinks she's slam dunked on him. She thinks she's done it multiple times now, and it's she does. Jacob says, "I like how she's treating him like a white man," and it's who do you think you're talking to right now? Right. This is the Surgeon General. He's a very obviously accomplished black man. And you were talking to him as if he's being racist for using language that he uses.
It's just so crazy to me because the way that... So she works for PBS NewsHour. I saw someone ask that question earlier. So that's that's her network that she works for.
Who?
Her name's...
who does she work for?
PBS NewsHour.
Oh, okay.
So PBS. She works for PBS. And what's so crazy to me, so the two questions that we have played from her have started with the phrase, some people are saying. Mm-hmm. We need to stop that.
Yeah.
Who's saying it?
Yeah.
Is it one?
Are they important?
Is it one Twitter account?
Yeah.
Is it some fucking white woman who takes offense to this shit? It always is.
Yeah.
It's always some fucking idiot. So what a waste of oxygen this woman is. Enough.
Agreed.
Piggy, you have had You're Phil. Enough of you.
She needs to disappear.
And then Jacob was talking about Jim Acosta too. Jim Acosta wastes so much goddamn time too. He like, you know, he goes Trump. You know, these press conferences, you've been treating them like they're some kind of joke, some kind of thing. He's like, I'm talking about death. What are you talking about? And it's just, you know, don't you think? And they always frame it in this thing. Don't you think in this time people should be feeling or like just stop it? Who are you speaking for?
Yeah,
that's the thing is, who are journalists speaking for anymore? I don't understand.
Well, it's that they're so out of touch with reality and with the real American people who are suffering and dying in the streets. It's like they have no connection to these people. All they get is the feedback that they get online. And it's like, oh, well, if somebody critiques me or criticizes me online, they're a troll. And if somebody agrees with me, that's an article I can write, you know?
I know.
So like they have no connection to us, so they don't represent us. But because we're still a part of dinosaur media and that's such a huge part of this culture, we're going to see more of them until they die, you know?
Yeah.
And whenever they die, hopefully soon.
It's well, that reminds me of something that I forgot to bring up.
Okay.
Let me grab it. I think it's on my Twitter. Hang on.
Yeah.
This one. This was fucking good.
Oh, yes. Vox.
So speaking of media networks dying.
Yes. Vox is now accepting audience support with the launch of a new contribution program. You can directly support Vox's vital explanatory journalism. Vital explanatory journalism? They also say, clear, concise information has never been more important than today. Please consider making a contribution to Vox to help us keep producing free, explanatory journalism that helps people navigate the coronavirus crisis.
And do you want to know why we're having all these problems in the media? Explanatory journalism. That thing of like, oh, you're all too stupid. Let us explain it to you, but we're not going to explain it to you honestly. We're going to explain it with our little twist.
Yes, of course. It's always, and we said this via text to each other, here's 5 reasons why you need to be mad at Bernie Sanders for taking the race away from Elizabeth Warren or whatever the
5 reasons why Bernie Sanders is actually a racist.
It's exactly that. And it's like, fuck, that. If that's your explanatory journalism, fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Dude, you know what? One more thing I want to play. So Trump is going to demolish Biden. I mean, we already talked about that.
Yeah.
But that fucking ad of his.
Oh yeah.
Should we play it?
Yeah. I mean, we're 28 minutes in.
We
got time.
I'm actually curious because I want to play it, and it's one of those things. Like again, like I don't know how many. I don't know. I probably should make it explicitly clear every time I say this kind of thing of like, I'm not some 4D. I had a really good way of explaining this, actually. It's like not some 4D chess supporter, but I thought of it today. I have lived long enough and I have read enough stuff that I am so cynical about any kind of change. And like, again, it just keeps happening where it's like I voted for Obama when I turned 18. He did nothing that I wanted him to do other than passing gay marriage, which was mostly just because it became a popular opinion. But when he got in, he was like, oh, fuck no. So, but didn't close on Guantanamo, didn't end wars, didn't give us a public option. Like all these huge things he ran on, he didn't do any of them. Mm-hmm. So, and then Bernie came along, and I'm like, all right, this guy he won't bend to anybody, is what it appeared to happen. Then Hillary steals it. We get her horrible fucking face for forever now. She just won't shut the fuck up. And then he gets so clearly fucked, so we're like, oh, the DNC's completely fucking rigged. Mm-hmm. Then we get Tulsi Gabbard in, and then the whole fucking media is now rigged because they would not give her any oxygen to speak, and the networks that would were used against her. And that, oh, you go on Fox all the time, and it's like, she's like, well, they'll have me. You guys won't talk to me.
Yeah.
And so, like, the only two anti-establishment people that we had any hope in that could have maybe changed something fell right in line and are now behind Joe Biden. So that's where I'm coming from. So I'm way too cynical to even hate Trump, because I'm just kind of like, well, at least he's this kind of ridiculous, at least he's entertaining. Mm-hmm. Like, at the very least, I am entertained. And considering that I don't think anything good's going to happen anyway, or like any kind of change is going to help anybody, maybe with this, but when you look at how the stimulus bill is packed, you're like, probably not. Right. It's probably just going to be 2008 all over again, which I already lived through. I'm cynical enough to where it's like I'm able to enjoy him for being ridiculous. That's all it is for me. And he does some good things. Like, I mean, he had a student loan thing the other day that was pretty positive, where he's going to suspend them for 6 months. If I get my Trump bucks here shortly, that'll be a positive kind of thing.
Sure.
But anyway, so he made this ad for, it's like his first thing that's about Joe Biden.
And it came out like a day after Bernie dropped out, I think. Or the same day after.
Are they fucking hiding it on YouTube? Oh my God.
It was on his channel, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just look up his channel and it'll be there. But yeah, this happened literally within like a day of Bernie dropping out. So either they had it ready or it's that one, Donald J. Trump. Oh, here we go. Yeah.
So really quickly, Greg says Vox is just a compilation of college-level non-real world reporting projects that the professor grades for completion and length. Yeah, it's totally true.
That's very well said.
So here's this ad.
Yeah.
This is a crisis.
This is no time for Donald Trump's record of hysterical xenophobia.
Biden's son inked a $1 billion deal with a subsidiary of the Bank of China.
China is going to eat our lunch? Come on, man. They're not bad folks.
Since the outbreak, the Communist Party has been mobilizing overseas organizations to buy local supplies and send them to China.
It is in our self-interest that China continue to prosper. What a beautiful history we wrote together. Banning all travel will not stop it.
The president is right. That travel restriction on China, as every public health official we've talked to said, bought the country time.
That was a very smart move right there.
Hysterical xenophobia. Xenophobia. I complimented him on dealing with China. I'm not going nuts.
Jesus, dude.
I mean, it's fire. I mean, it just is.
Yeah.
And because it's like what I was saying on the last one of if the Kamala thing is in the framing of that, are they this stupid? Like, are they this stupid to run him? Do they not think that he was? And again, what he's going to be able to do now is everyone, including myself, when he was running and saying, I'm going to bring manufacturing back to America. Like, you're not, because of China. And then now that we have an angle,
if Trump succeeds on it, he's gonna get 50 more.
He doesn't even need to, though. That's the thing. Like I was talking to a buddy about that today. He's like, well, you know, what about policy that he's done? That's this, and that. And I'm like, no one cares about that. They care about what he says.
Yeah.
And so if he just says he's gonna do it, that's enough for people. And then people are so scared of this, and they're now seeing the real reality of globalizing supply chains that's what you get. The aviator shot of Joe gets me every time. I love the ice cream cone meme. Like, it's just like, I don't even know where I am. Licking the ice cream cone. But that's that. So, but I think that like all of this, and you're kind of I'm probably starting to seem hysterical. Is I want to talk to you guys about two things. Number one, He's starting. I'm already. It's already gone. It's already gone. I want to talk to you guys about your how you are mentally doing in all this, and kind of how you're processing it, and if you have any tools to maybe give advice to other people, to help them if they're going through this as well, or like some kind of emotional distress during all this. And the second part I want to talk about with everybody that wants to come in and do the Zoom chat is I do find it like odd or interesting that we have all. I'm doing the Trump thing. I can't help it.
Yeah.
That's why you might just give me that look right now. We like the mass compliance happens so fast, and I find that troubling in the sense of like when it happens so quickly with a virus, something you can't see. I mean, it'd be one thing if China invaded and there's soldiers outside. It's like, get the fuck inside. You know what I mean? But with a virus, you can really abuse this kind of thing to do some really authoritarian shit, as evidenced by Guido Fauci's, we should give them papers if they're immune thing. So I want to talk about that with people who you don't have to talk about that, because I know some people just don't want to go down that road, and that's totally fine. But if you do, I would love to talk about it. So I'm going to put the Zoom link in here.
Yeah. I was talking to my buddy Pierce about this yesterday, and I've mentioned it so many times on this podcast, so I'm just going to be the same broken record player. It's social contract, but the author of this contract is the government.
Right.
You're born in the U.S., you have to follow the rules of the U.S. But that contract is like the Constitution. It's the Declaration of Independence. It's all of these massive documents and all of the amendments to the Constitution. It's all of these documents that have been put forth over centuries that we sort of just abide by because we're born into it. But like within the wording of the Constitution, within the Declaration of Independence, there's wiggle room for the government to become a bit more authoritarian in times of stress, in times of national emergency, which is what this is. And so unfortunately we are forced to kind of trust them. And you know, we really have no other choice, of course, but it does make you think, like, why should we? And that's why I've been posting my guillotine of the day. It's like, these are people, there are a lot of people that I would not trust in the government right now. There are some that I do, but for the most part, I trust doctors right now, and I trust the surgeon, the Surgeon General.
Yeah, I like him.
I trust him.
I'd seen him briefly before, but I liked his little thing that and that's the thing too. That's what pissed me off about that woman. I'm sorry to go back to that. Is he's so polite, and she's such an asshole, and it's like even him kind of saying, I'll correct the record on it. Like, she didn't deserve that. She didn't deserve any no conciliatory remarks. She deserved nothing.
But like, and I think I forget which Roosevelt it was, but who was the big stick Roosevelt? Which one was that? Was that
big stick?
FDR or Teddy?
Well, like what did he do?
So his theory was like, if you have the bigger stick, you can overcome other countries.
That sounds a lot like Teddy.
So I forget which one it was, but yeah, if it's Teddy, like if he had the bigger stick, he built up the military.
That's FDR.
So FDR then. It doesn't matter. One of the Roosevelts, you can just look up like big stick theory, but that's basically what social contract theory started as. When we were tribes of people, the tribe with the bigger stick is the more powerful one, so you sort of bend more to their will. But it also exists within insular communities like the US, but also like families. Like, obviously when you're born into a family, maybe your dad has the biggest stick, so to speak, and so you follow his rules in his house, or your mom has the biggest stick.
Perry's saying it was Teddy. I'm wrong.
Okay, so Teddy, thank you, Perry. But so these are contracts that you enter into involuntarily, but it's just understood that you have to or you will die. So we're ingrained to believe these things, and so we're ingrained to follow these rules that we don't even think about, and so it makes it easy for authoritarian things in government to happen.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it totally does.
So those are just like the basics of social contract theory. I'm not even like an expert in it. I've just taken like one social contract theory class, and I found it very interesting. Yeah, Teddy said speak softly but carry a big stick. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah, Noni and Tom got us that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just when you said build up the military, I couldn't. That was FDR in my head.
But it's like a sense of power that is almost too vague to really identify. So speaking softly is like, oh, you're like an eloquent sort of like reserved person, but I know you're powerful. It's like my uncle who's in like finance, accounting for these massive businesses in California, and like you were talking to him one time at like a family party or something, and you could tell that the way he was talking was so like jovial and great, but you knew there was power behind it.
Right.
Like not a threat, but like a big stick behind his jovial.
Yeah, because I could tell that the jovial and the big laugh was performative, and that energy could switch, and that's like it's a lot of people that are kind of in those wealthy kind of they I think a lot of people gain wealth by being that personality of like that was weird. Yeah, it sounded like the dog was doing something, but he's sleeping. They're very affable, jovial people, but then they still scare you a little bit, which is like an interesting kind of way of doing it. But
I'm so glad we have a live chat because we now know that it's Teddy.
Oh, there's another thing I wanted to correct the record on that I forgot to do.
What's that?
Did I send you guys the wrong link? I'm going to try again if I didn't do it.
Yeah, we'll send it again.
Is it copy invitation or is it copy URL?
Copy URL.
Yeah. All right, let me do it again. But the other thing is that, so apparently this is tricky. So Remember how I was talking about how the only person that didn't approve that the stimulus bill passed unanimously, and nobody, even AOC with her giant performance, didn't actually do anything to stop it.
Sure.
So we don't have the voter rolls, so we have to just take her word for it. But she's saying she actually didn't. She actually voted no on it.
Interesting.
So if she did, then at the very least, her performance and what she said was legitimate.
Yeah, she has integrity.
But again, we have to take her word for it, which is weird. Yeah. But she doesn't really strike me as a liar exactly. And this is a big fucking lie because there's a bunch of investigative journalists that are trying to find the fucking voter roll on it. But we'll see what actually ends up happening with that.
I'm going to text Pierce, who said he wanted to come on, and also Yana, who we wanted last time.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good.
She just said to text her.
Oh, we got somebody now. All right.
Sweet. Let me text Yana as well.
So we get Neononi in here first. Sweet. Oops. Oh, yeah, I remember it always pops away, then it comes back.
Yeah. Well, all right.
All right. Oh, wait, I got to pull it up on here. Crap. There we go. Crap.
Okay, cool.
So it usually takes a second.
But we could have heard it if he was talking as well.
We could have, but they couldn't have.
Yeah. Excuse me. I'm having so many voice cracks, and I always do on this podcast. It's like for some reason I've hit another puberty.
Do you get nervous?
I think I get nervous, but I also speak a little bit lower in my register when I'm on this podcast because I want to sound like hotter and manlier. And so when I do that, my voice is like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
Just like relax. And so when I'm talking down here, I get way more voice cracks than if I were talking in my normal register.
Greg Hartley says AOC was on Drag Race tonight, and woof, I have a lot of feelings. I played that clip for Sean last night, just the one of the Twitter thing, and it was because it's just she has this, she's so affected. Everything is just so performative.
Yeah.
And even on that show, she had to make it about, I care about your,
You have no reason to be insecure, or whatever she said.
Yeah. And it's like you know what she's doing. It's like, I am a supporter of the gays.
Of course.
And it's just like, can you just be a real fucking person?
It's like,
she's probably a fuckload of fun if she just acts like a real person. But she just doesn't seem to have the ability to do it.
I referenced that video from that, I can't even remember the name of the TV show, so this is a pointless reference, but the one where like the gay dude is going in for an interview and she knows he's gay, the interviewer knows he's gay, and she's like, I am such a big fan of your work. I am gagging, faggot. And it's like she's a straight white lady and it's like, whoa. And she's like, come on, sissy that walk or whatever, and she brings him into the interview room.
My God.
And it's like, whoa, a little too far.
Bold move.
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
No. Yeah, Neon Oni. Do we have
connecting? Let's see if it actually ends up working.
All right. So Pierce is busy, but he'll hop on the next one. He says
when you can start talking, just start talking, and then I'll hear you and I'll shut up.
I am gagging, faggot.
But he says it was a lot. I'm spiraling on it a bit. I'm in, but there's no audio. Let's see what's going on there. Oh,
huh.
I don't think that my thing's messed up, but
hello, check. Okay, so you can hear us.
Yeah, everything's how it's supposed to be. So.
Yeah, it says Ecamm.
And it's got stuff coming in, so. No, I don't. No, AOC didn't say faggot.
No, but the in the TV show, and I wish I could find it. I wish
AOC said faggot. That'd be hilarious.
If you just Google "I'm gagging faggot," I'm sure you can find the clip on YouTube. It's fucking good. Maybe we can find it.
Yeah.
In the meantime.
Oh wait, there.
Oh yeah, admit him.
I just don't want this to mess up. Hang on.
Yeah.
That's so fucking funny. Dude, if I can find that, I'm gonna make it a sound drop.
I am gagging, faggot.
Why would she have made that choice?
I mean, it's a character in a TV show.
Weird.
It was really funny though. It's hilarious because it's like, oh, this is how people actually treat us.
Oh, so it wasn't like a reality show?
No. It's
I got distracted with
this. It's a fiction. It's just a comedy. I'm telling Yana. She just said like, what's the subject matter?
Okay. Yeah, I think if Neononi can get his thing to work, then I want to talk to him about government stuff because that's kind of what him and I talk about.
Yeah, sure. And like the herd psychology or whatever, herd mentality.
Yeah. Hope he can get his thing to work.
Yeah, I hope so. Yana says she might not be able to speak. She has worms in her brain. So
she's so convinced of that, but like I remember when I was
no, she's got like what's the opposite of worms? Angels?
Huh.
I don't know. Well, Jacob's coming in.
Yeah. Well, if Danoni doesn't mind waiting, we'll bring
Yeah,
Jacob
absolutely. Yeah.
Oop.
All right.
Because let's
Connecting
actually be
to
the test
audio.
of whether or not it's on his end or ours. Because I'm scared it's on ours.
Yeah,
but I
wonder.
don't think so.
Let us know, Jacob. Yeah.
Can he hear us?
I don't know.
He should be connected.
Yeah.
This might be me doing something wrong, but I hope not.
I don't think so. It looked exactly the same. But I do think we should have taken a picture of the interface to see exactly what it was supposed to look like for this time as well.
No, I mean it's always the same deal, but I don't really mind these having like these lag moments just because it kind of is what it is.
Right. We are stalling, faggot.
Weird.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
'Cause
I'm in, but there's no audio. Oh, sorry, that was wrong person. Jacob says he can't hear anything either.
Okay, then.
Yeah, we may have a problem.
Let me try. We'll try this all over again. Give me
Yeah,
1
we'll
second.
try it again. That's interesting.
Maybe we can update it in real time.
Yeah.
Let's see if that's the problem.
It might need an update.
You guys can come along with us.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Very cool. Yeah, no response from Yana yet, but we'll see.
Oh, actually,
did that work?
I guess I typed my password right. I didn't think I did.
I know.
All right, let me just turn it off, turn it back on, and then.
It's weird. Nothing is muted. Yeah, that's what Jacob says.
Nothing is muted. What does that mean?
On his end, he doesn't have like his audio muted or anything.
Oh, weird. Okay. Well, then if it happened to both of you, then.
It's something on our end.
Sorry, let me do it again, and then maybe. That's disappointing, because nothing is different. Let me see here. New meeting. Maybe this. I didn't notice that last time, so maybe there was something with that. And then let me send you guys. Wait, where's the? Now it changed the thing up. Where
Maybe
is
the up arrow. Next to share screen. No.
Now where the fuck? How do I share?
I have no fucking clue. They moved things around. Security? What the fuck is happening?
Right.
They changed it. Saying, well, yeah, it won't be a valid ID because it's a new chat or a new Zoom.
Yeah. Wait.
This is awful. What's happening here?
Wait, invite.
There we go.
Copy invitation.
I think it's copy URL.
Okay. So let's try.
So
Let's try for both of you. If you don't mind, Jacob, I would like to get on in here first because I think that we're gonna doom and gloom you, and then I want to talk about psychology.
Good.
So we'll try this again. Hopefully this works. If not, then this may just end up being a regular podcast.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, we covered a lot of topics.
Let me double check the settings on this.
Yeah, we can take a look. That seems to be exactly right.
Yeah, because this is the one that sends it out, and
it's
this
always
is the one that
Ecamm
sends it in.
and Scarlet is in. Yeah. Yeah, very weird. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Well, fingers crossed.
Yeah, seriously. Yeeps. But oftentimes, like with even with our broadcasting software, it's sometimes we just have to update and it works again. So we'll see. We will see. I don't know. Is in the meantime anything we need to talk about?
I probably forgot something that I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, we did. Like I said, we did put up that Dr. Drew video. I think that time is going to be kinder to Dr. Drew in hindsight.
Yeah.
Because I think that a lot of like what he was getting shit on for was because it looks like everywhere I'm looking for data, it seems like the new hospital admissions are starting to go down.
Yeah.
So what I'm hoping is that means that we're kind of nearing some sort of, it's going to come back or whatever, all those things, we know all that, but it's like just for this version of it, it's going to kind of hopefully level out or do something.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's a little thing where it says it's connecting to audio, and then
it went away. It says you're connected, Neon Oni. Can you hear us?
You saw the thing at the top? It said he's connected to audio?
It said, yeah, he's connected.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
It's no good. Let me see if no, he's not muted. Oops, now he's gone.
Yeah, I think he left. I don't know what's going on. We may just be having troubles.
Why would it be doing that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe they don't. No, because we didn't. We up. Let's see.
Same thing again. No audio. He says.
Huh. Let's see, audio settings.
Did you end the chat? No, I don't think you did.
No. Mute. Let's see. Let me see security. If that's got something weird.
Yeah, I don't know, Bones.
Lock.
Riveting stuff.
I know.
Real riveting. Let me check our notes, see if we have anything to talk about. Because I don't know if we can't get into work.
Here, why don't you click it on yours?
I just tried. And it said invalid ID.
Oh, the same one?
The most recent link that you sent, yeah.
And we'll try blooding Jacob in to see if it works. But I don't think it will.
Yeah, Safari can't open the page because the address is invalid is what I'm getting.
Even on the newest one?
Yeah, on the newest one.
It said Jacob Larson connected audio.
I hear something.
Hello?
Yeah,
hello.
Okay, that worked. I don't know what the deal is. So, Neonon, if you don't mind waiting just for a second, and then we'll get. So we're going to talk to you about. I think it's actually maybe better if we do some hopeful stuff with you, or just some brain stuff, and then we'll talk to Neononi about some doom and gloom, and then we'll get to anybody else that wants to talk about that.
Sorry for the hold up.
Yeah, that's the thing about these. I'm actually, what's so funny? I've been watching other shows that do these kinds of things. Like even SNL did something and it looked like shit. So I'm like. Or what other? I've been watching a bunch of shows that are using the same technology we are, and they're just sucking shit at it. So I'm like,
we're not doing any worse.
I'm pretty proud of
us.
We're doing this in a bedroom, so I'm pretty proud of us. But what is your psychology like right now, Jacob?
Mental health problems. What's going on?
My psychology. Well, I'm more of an introvert anyway, so like it's not affecting me as much as the extroverts I see on here. Because I know, like especially females, they're like every time I see them tweet or post on Snapchat or something, they're like just losing their minds because they can't go outside.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's I saw a meme about that, but is that like actually statistically true?
I think so. I mean.
Yeah, there was some, I don't know, it was some dumb meme I saw, but like it is interesting. I mean, just like anecdotally, like the females I do follow on Twitter seem to be more vocally talking about.
Yeah, I wish more women were like my sister, because she's just like gun toting. She's like a Florida girl, and she's fucking thriving right now. She's having barbecues. It's like she is not suffering whatsoever right now. She may be unemployed like we all are, but like we are, or she is a very resilient person. So anecdotally in my family side, it's a little different, but yeah, a lot of my friends I feel like are kind of trying to hide the pain that they're going through right now.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I feel, I think I'm a lot like you, Jacob, and I think you're kind of the same way too. We've talked about this before of just, we all already kind of didn't, like going to, like friends are like, let's go to the bar, and we both be like, okay.
Gotta shower, gotta
gear up to do that,
and
be in a fucking loud place and do all this shit.
Yeah.
And so the question I've heard people like, there's somebody that was throwing out around the theory. Do you think that immediately when restaurants and bars and stuff open back up, people are going to flood them, or do you think that they're going? Yeah, I've been kind of thinking that too. I didn't think so before, but I'm starting to think that now.
Yeah, because like by my college we have like about 3 or 4 bars, and like I hear everyone say like when this lockdown ends and all that stuff, they're just gonna flood the bars and stuff like that. So
I just wonder if like anyone's gonna have the money to spend.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't think I will. I think I'll like drink a little bit to celebrate, but I won't really, unless my friends like desperately want to go out. I don't think I would.
Yeah.
It's not something that I even sought out before this all happened. I wasn't like, oh, I'm dying to go to this bar right now. I never really did that in the first place.
Right.
So when it comes back, it's just gonna be like, I could go without it.
You said Pierce, we talked to last time, he was saying that he's like really wants to go to restaurants and just live kind of a normal thing.
He called me out of the blue yesterday, and he was like, I am going crazy, and this is not my story to tell, but like he's like, I'm going crazy. We'll have more to tell
it, but it's just, I mean, I'm just giving the vague kind of version.
But like he's like, I just need to go sit at a restaurant. And the funniest thing he said was like, I just want to have like a bad waiter. I want to like have a terrible interaction with a human being. I'm sick of like only having pleasant interactions with one person. It's like, just give me a bad waiter. And that's not his exact words. I'm kind of exaggerating like a comedian would, but because I am the funniest person. on this podcast. So
so yeah, you are. Well, I think because I'm so consistently distracted, especially when I'm like running all this stuff. Every time I rewatch an episode of ours, I'm just like, oh god, it's like
that you just ignore.
At least once an episode, you fucking blast out a fire joke, and I'm like,
I'm only teasing you. Don't worry.
Okay, so we have Perry in here, and then we also have Noni, but we're just gonna do them one at a time because that kind of seemed to work. Worked the best last time.
Jacob, are you doing anything right now to like? I know like your physical health is important, but are you doing anything to like? Do you have any advice for people who are having problems? Because you said you're an introvert. Is there anything that you're struggling with during this time?
These last for like the psychology like part of it. There has been like the last couple of days this fear of like getting it. I don't know, like it's not like a big fear, but it's just like what if I get it, like, and I spread it to other people type thing. Like it's not like a huge fear, but it's just like a what if fear, you know?
Yeah, I think that I'm gonna throw out what I've been feeling, and I'm curious if this resonates with you at all. And the thing for me is, it's almost like this. It would be like almost embarrassing to get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like not even embarrassing, but just almost like you know like when you watch a horror movie and there is like an infectious disease thing and you get it and you're like, oh no, I've got it's that kind of feeling, you know? And I don't know. So that's like, do you kind of relate to that at all, or am I just projecting?
A little bit. I mean,
I know that your health is at risk, and I don't think mine's not as bad as yours, but I would be in deep shit too if I got it. But it's that weird kind of. It's just like the world is unclean. I don't know. I can't explain it really. It's weird.
There would be a small amount of shame in getting it when everybody else is trying so hard not to get it, and you should be doing the same.
Right.
That if you got it, you could be like, what did I do wrong? And like, how am I going to tell people that I did something wrong?
I've been getting that a little bit lately. Yeah.
That resonated with me too. What did I do wrong? Because I'm doing everything really carefully.
Yeah.
And then it would be like, holy shit, I still got it. Like that would be kind of terrifying.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah, I feel that way too.
So like, is that kind of your concern as well?
Yeah.
Oh. Is your are you still kind of doing school, or is it kind of a joke?
Everything's online now.
So it's kind of a joke.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Mine's a joke. I
have like one thing due a week, and it's like
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty silly. Well, if you can give like a word of wisdom to everybody, what would it be, or like just some advice to kind of make them feel better? Because I feel like we shouldn't black pill everybody too hard on this.
I told my sister this today. I was like, "Don't touch anything you don't have to."
That's great.
That's fair.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
Don't touch anything you don't have to.
We gotta stop touching each other's penises.
Yeah, that's true. I don't have to touch it anymore. So
just cut it off.
Cut it off.
Give me a mound. All right, Jacob.
I'll let Neon talk now, I guess, for whoever's next.
Yeah, no worries, and we'll cycle it back around. So I want to kind of see if I can.
Don't click that one.
Get him to go, and then on this, but
you almost clicked end meeting.
I know, I almost did. But then we'll probably come back to you just after we get through to him.
If you're up for it.
If you're up for it, of course.
Mm.
All right, I will. Well, let's see. Well, he's gone now. Damn it.
Well, Perry's waiting. Why don't we just...
Yeah. So, let's see. How do I... Let's see here. All right.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. And there we go.
All right. Huh. All right. Perry is joining now. Yeah, my school is a joke right now. They actually just sent out an email that was... you can switch all of your classes to credit, no credit. But... it's not an automatic thing. You have to opt into it, and some departments won't do it.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know. And also, it's like everybody who has any problems with their GPA has to do letter grades. Like if they're getting scholarships based on their GPA, have to do letter grades. Sorry. It's like we're all suffering, please.
Hello.
Perry.
Hey. Do you
guys hear me?
Yes, we can. You're thriving in all this. I watched your garden video the other day, and
I am. I kind of wanted to bring that up since since you said you didn't want so much black pilling going on in here. I just kind of wanted
I think
bring
that
some greenery in, I guess.
Yeah, no, I love this idea. So
I've been doing pretty good. It's actually been really busy. People have been really finding the value in wanting being in the backyard to start a vegetable garden and whatnot. So it's been pretty good. And at home too, I've been
we may have lost
planting it up, commenting and watching.
Oh, good.
Connection is
Good.
pretty poor here, it looks like. So hold on. Let me
no problem.
let me see if I can close some things out to get some better connection going on here.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, but it was fun watching your video just because number one, we're envious of your backyard and what you're able to kind of sustain on there. And then I love the part in the video that you put up where you pick the leaf off and you're like, I don't like eating things that haven't been washed, so we'll give it back to the soil.
I loved that, and I love the lizard part too,
yeah,
where you got so close to that lizard, dude.
Yeah,
unreal.
So do people?
Yeah, he's pretty cute. He's out there. I mean, I've been seeing him for the last like 2 months.
Oh, that's so
sorry,
sweet.
go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was just curious. Do you like travel to other people's houses to kind of like give them advice or sort of structure out their gardens, or what does it look like?
Yeah, so I actually work for a small business and we do that. So we have a team that'll come in and basically build the garden for them and
a little bit of a
the soil and then come out once a week, once or whatnot, to put the plants in and just kind of check on everything and harvest it as the season goes on. So
nice.
That's great.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it.
So I mean, just kind of maybe based on having that thing that you do, is your mental health pretty solid during all this?
I was pretty anxious at first and just overwhelmed with the uncertainty of everything. I think I've kind of gotten over that now, just knowing that I'm in a healthy position. But the thing that I kind of miss most is just seeing, my grandparents and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Not being able to see them. And I have just kind of stuff like that. And my mom works in a grocery store, so she's, in facing the public all day. And that, that's kind of a concern if, she were to get it, I don't know, I'm sure she would be healthy, but it's,
it's just
not something that you want to have happen.
Because there's still so much unknown, and that's kind of
exactly.
I mean, like I think, like I said in the beginning, just this thing of I think we're gonna find a reason why certain people are so desperately affected by it, and so I don't know, like, and once we figure that out, it'll be a little more clear about kind of who should be out and who definitely shouldn't be. But I think it's gonna be a fucking long time until we actually know any of that.
Yeah.
But is she getting hazard pay, and how old is she?
55, mid 50s.
Mm-hmm. She's young.
And yeah, she is. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, then that's like less of a concern. Like
getting a little bit of hazard pay.
Yeah, good. So, do you have advice you want to give anybody, like about kind of definitely start a garden if you can.
Yeah, I don't know, start a garden, just go buy a little tomato plant or something like that, tomato, and get a thing of basil and have that grow throughout the spring. There's something nice about being able to harvest that and just being able to eat, even one tomato a week. It's just kind of nice. It's a pleasant feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's definitely, I think, like, just even getting houseplants, like something to take care of if you don't have an animal, I think is probably a good move.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So I'm gonna end this meeting. I'm gonna try it again for Neon Oni, and then so we can restart the 40 minutes anyway. So I'm gonna end this one.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on, you guys.
Oh, of course, always.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Boop. And then we're gonna create another one, and hopefully this doesn't fuck me again.
So weird. I mean, it did work for 2 people just now, so we are on the right track.
It's gonna be growing pains, I'm sure, because I don't like how they do this now. That was a bad feature they added.
What's that?
Where now I can't find the.
It's in the chat.
How do I
press chat? Bottom, to the left.
Thank you.
Chat, invite. Oh, where the fuck is invite? You've got to be kidding. And now it's gone. Maybe in the 3 dots.
Where?
In the chat. 3 dots in the chat.
Boy.
Oh, fucking hell, dude. This is awful.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, there's no invite anymore. How does this fucking happen? We literally just had it.
I know. They like literally one of the updates I saw though was that it moved it, but it's like we didn't want you to.
God damn it.
Meeting. Let's see.
Invite.
There we go. All right.
Fuck,
Jesus.
dude.
All right.
Meeting invite. We
So,
will remember that.
Hopefully this one works for you, Neononi. If not, I think what's tough is we're kind of working with both of our tech, so it's like we got our end and then we got theirs too.
Yeah.
So hopefully this works. And then where's my waiting room? Oh, there it is. That's what was up the last time. That's why.
Jesus. I thought it was chat, but maybe not.
I think it's just the invite page, but.
This is I don't know.
I think Perry's advice, growing like getting a garden or a plant or something to kind of take care of, because the weather's it's raining like fucking crazy here in California, but I think which is good, but the weather's gonna start to kind of get to that time of where things will grow if you plant them.
Yeah, I put my houseplants outside for a couple days and I haven't brought them back in, and a couple of them died, but not the important ones, not the ones that have been with me.
Not the ones that you've named.
Not the ones that I've named exactly. But the ones that did die brought me a sense of relief, which was interesting because I thought I was just trying to nurse a dying thing back to life for months and months and months, because these were like clippings that I had made myself, and the ones that did survive beautifully I gave to other people. Gave one to Andrew, I gave one to my mom, and so like the ones that did survive the cut, I don't have anymore. The ones that almost didn't survive it, I have. And so they've just been so close to dying for so long. And I think putting them outside was the right thing to do. So I didn't have to watch them die,
That's
so
really
the ones that did die, that I did feel an attachment for, but sort of like a resentment for as well, I let them die. And then I'm going to bring the ones back inside that lived. And I know it probably wasn't advisable to leave them outside for like a week. It's been probably about a week now. But I kind of had to. They had gnats, and so I brought them outside to like scrape off the soil, and I was like, I'll leave them because I don't want the gnats to come back, and I don't want them in my room. So I left them there, but it's been raining so much I'm worried. The ones that are important to me are in pots that drain very easily. The ones that are like clippings and stuff that almost didn't survive, I didn't do too good of a job to give them draining pots. So they are suffering, and probably suffering a lot more in the rain right now. But
that's tough. I'm gonna make it full screen until I see him pop in. But
yeah,
the what kind of plants were they? I
had 2 spider plants that were.
Oh, those are the ones that got the gnats on them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those
die
were
fast. I had that
happen
happen to like a spider plant, and my what are those called again?
Pothos. I say pothos. I don't know if it's pothos or whatever. But
yeah, those stuck it out, but the spider
resilient.
plant died fucking fast when it had the little spider mites on it.
Yeah, I
didn't know about Perry's trick at the time.
My original spider plant that I ever got suffered that same fate, but what I did was I cut clippings from it, and then I put that plant outside, scraped off all of the top layer of the soil, like the first inch, and then added more. And it seemed to be okay after that, and it still lives in my parents' house now. They still have it. It's a huge pot, and I didn't bring it with me, I don't think. But yeah, it's still doing fine. It's just the spider plants. Like, I don't know. I don't have very good luck with them. So
I think I've had 2. I haven't really had good luck with them either. Perry, do you have advice on is there like something that we're doing wrong with those? Like, do they need some kind of specific care that we're unaware of?
Yeah, I think just the best beginner plant is what we have, the pothos. Yeah. They just thrive wherever. It's
my
crazy.
Succulent's really not happy right now for some reason. I don't know why.
I mean, I feel like the succulent you have is kind of seasonal in a way.
Really?
It had like a really huge spurt,
and I had to cut it.
You got it, and you had to cut it.
Yeah.
And then it sort of dialed it back, and it's been a few months now, maybe even a year since it had that huge spurt. But then little I guess leaves fell into the soil and started growing new plants.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because like one of the ones that fell in that started to grow like a little boy on it.
Yeah.
In the corner of it now that's healthier than the
main plant.
And I think what kept happening was I kept like having to repot it, so I had to because it keeps growing, like it wants to like escape the soil. It's like
Yeah.
the roots like push it out of it. And I'm like, fucker. It's like get it out and like repot it, put it back in, and then it just keeps doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, Perry says mine grows outside. Sorry, Perry, you have an obvious green thumb that I don't think either of us have here.
I think that it's just like there's like when I watched Perry's so Perry has his own channel, and he does gardening videos and some really interesting stuff on his car because he has like a plug-in hybrid, which I do too, and it's like some kind of interesting math and sort of data that he runs through like a third-party device that he has. It was really interesting. And but anyway, I think it's like the love you feel for this makes your plants grow better.
Yeah, for sure.
I really do believe. I'm not like a hippy dippy person, but I do think plants respond to good vibes.
Oh, speaking of hippy dippy, we've got a person waiting. If we want to admit, Greg.
Yeah.
I'll talk about hippy dippy later. Or actually, I can while he's joining.
Yeah.
I've been meditating like every night.
Oh, have
to
you?
go to sleep. I was doing it for a little while. I stopped and then I came back to it. And I listened to Louise Hay, who is like a very hippy dippy kind of spiritual person. She's Marianne Williamson, basically.
Yeah, she rolls.
They're from the same ilk, the same meditation ilk. So
your vagina,
your penis. But she says your genitals, and I really love the way she says it. But she does like sort of hippy dippy meditation. There's like a 27-minute one on YouTube for sleep. It's like an evening meditation, and then there's another that she does that's like 45 minutes, and it sort of repeats itself, but it comes back. Greg, you're on. Hello. I don't know if he can hear us.
I don't know if he can either.
Because we can't hear him. Yeah, I don't know.
It's usually like once I hear audio come through is like when I shut up.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so I've been doing those meditations, and they're nice. But the reason that they're so hippy dippy is that there's a part that she goes into that's like,
Hi.
Hello, welcome. I don't have to finish that thought. You guys can listen to Louise Hay and find out for yourselves.
Did she talk about your penis and your vagina?
She talks about being. Oh, he's gone.
Well, let's try this.
She talks about being like imagining yourself as like a 7-year-old and imagining your mom as a 6-year-old and your dad. Yes,
I can hear you. Yeah, you're.
He's in and out.
Yeah, I think he was saying his connection where he is like a little rough. So I put Neononi in here too. So we'll see if his is working.
Yeah.
Says you're connected, Neononi. So
both of you guys should be. We do hear audio.
I wonder if we're finally having bandwidth problems from everybody doing this shit.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. I hope not.
Because everyone's a fucking superstar now and going live on Instagram.
Fuck it. Let's go live.
Let's go live.
Everybody's going live right now. I do hear somebody moving around.
Yeah. When you're starting out, feel free to talk over us because we know you're here when we hear you.
I hear some clicking.
Can either of you guys hear me?
Yeah, yes. I can hear you. I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Hi. I switched back to just audio, so that might be able to help.
Yeah, probably will. Yeah. How are you feeling?
Rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been foggy the past couple of days. It's very interesting. Overall, I'm doing pretty okay. Like I've, usually like you guys, like I stay in typically more than I go out, and I'm kind of used to that. But it's definitely been interesting. It's definitely interesting. And then I've been having this battle with myself with how poor my internet is. Mm-hmm. It's also been starting to cause me panic because I've been thinking about, and it's not even just because like, I can go on Twitter, or I can do that or whatever, but it's like everything going so towards remote working, like that's looking more and more like it's not a possibility for me. There's days where I can like or anything like that. So that's starting to like put little panic feelers.
Yeah, your connection's a little rough right now, but I just in case people didn't hear it, your internet where you are is poor. You were saying, so you're worried about the ability to work remotely because you don't have a very powerful internet infrastructure where you are.
Correct.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's actually they're introducing another bill of funding, and part of what that funding has is about helping to work on internet infrastructure in more rural areas because of this exact problem, and because like generally speaking, people who are able to work remotely, if they have shitty internet, they won't be able to do it effectively, which is a big problem.
Right, and didn't have internet for half the day. So And, you know, like I was talking to my mom was saying that, you know,
Shoot. It's a little bit bad. I didn't understand a whole lot of that.
No, I didn't catch it. I think we might have to end it, Greg, unfortunately, because your connection's not great, man. I'm sorry, buddy. I gotta let you go.
Oh, sorry about that.
All right, he got it.
Oh yeah, he jumped out.
All right, Nianoni, can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
For the love of God, what is your Missouri internet like?
Oh, it's pretty good. Yeah, thankfully.
Good. Sounds crystal clear. This is the first time we've actually struggled. I feel like the first time we did this, we had no issues.
And we had a lot of people on video too when we did it. We had like Dallas and Greg, and so I don't know what happened, but maybe there's just been a slight change, and a lot of more people are on the internet now.
Well, how are you feeling, buddy?
Oh, pretty good. Could be worse. So
yeah. You had a good day today. I saw.
Yeah, I mean, I was able to score some frozen chicken breast, so can't beat that,
Nice.
Bingo.
I mean, again, out here in middle of America, you really wouldn't know too much is going on if you just look around, because I mean, some businesses are still open, some there's traffic somewhat. I mean, it's not as much as it used to be, and there's people walking around, and you do see people in mass. I think you read today. I told us of my outing. I saw somebody in Walmart wearing what looked to be a Breaking Bad costume from like a party store.
Yeah.
And full head to toe, yellow. Looked like some kind of shitty material. Clearly not a real hazmat suit. And I don't know. And it wasn't some like goof. It was somebody who really thought that was essential.
Gonna be helpful. That was so fucking funny to me when I read that, because it was because I think that people here are kind of keeping that together. I mean, everyone here is wearing masks, and there have been some places that are requiring them now. I don't know if you saw that video in Philly, and that kind of this kind of gets into the thing I wanted to talk to you about. That video in Philly of the guy getting physically removed from the bus by the police because he wasn't wearing a mask.
Whoa. No, I haven't seen that, but I've been hearing all the other insane stories around the country.
It is look, all the normal caveats aside of we need to protect people and blah blah blah, you need to protect yourself, but it's getting a little eerie sort of. And I saw a tweet today, and I'm curious if this sort of resonates with you, of somewhat, because now some of the people that are more on the right and kind of conspiratorial that want to get back to work, they kind of have some points, and this is like one that I was thinking about of. Someone was shitting on Trump and getting mad at him for not responding sooner. And the kind of more conspiratorial person commented, well, if he would have enacted all the measures we're enduring currently, all of a sudden, people would have fucking flipped out. But the fact that it happened kind of slowly is why people ended up being more compliant in the long run.
Yeah, there was a gradual, I guess, taper to it. It was, and it also kind of it was adjusted as the situation seemingly got more dire. So it kind of didn't seem as out of nowhere.
Do you suspect they knew how dire this is going to get, but they knew they had to do it slowly?
That it makes sense. I mean, I don't like to kind of assign motive behind everything, because then that just gets into crazy territory. But I mean, it does make sense. But although with that, then you do know that in the meantime there's this window of tremendous spreading and everything. So although I don't know if there was off the bat, if there was like everybody needs to wear a mask and social distancing and all this, would people have complied, or would there, I don't know, but that's something to think about.
Yeah. What do you, like, if they, again, I know you don't really want to like kind of predict crazy territory, but I'm starting to kind of think about, okay, like how far are they going to push this in the name of safety until more people start to kind of get uncomfortable with it?
Well, I mean, that's the thing, because we're already there. I mentioned to you the other day that I'm somebody who's I've been a ardent Second Amendment supporter since I was teenager, and I've always had that kind of looming suspicion of the government. I've never been like a paranoid, nut or anything, but I've always had that kind of mistrust and expectations of any reason to abuse power will be used. And I'm kind of really shocked to see how many people in my similar type of thinking are kind of going along with it as I am, not using this time to be like, see, I told you, and kind of feel validated and vindicated for all their kind of mistrust over the years.
Yeah,
but again, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. And I'll finish my thought.
No, but again, I think it's because of just the way it was rolled out, and because the potential the potential ramifications of this thing going unchecked. Everybody just kind of out of for out of precaution are kind of willing to suspend their mistrust or cling on to it but not exercise it or threaten to exercise it. And I hope that didn't sound too threatening, but
no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what it's there for, and again, I think what's so kind of I feel vindicated in a way, because whenever you make you made this argument to people a while ago, even kind of moderate people politically, they would laugh at you, and just the idea of, I mean, in terms of the Second Amendment and like to protect from some kind of like tyrannical force, and now even people on the left are sort of starting to see people on the left that are using their brains are kind of seeing how this type of the fact that people were so willing to comply so quickly to something that no one's experienced in their lifetime is pretty telling of kind of that herd mentality of compliance. And also I have friends as well that I would never have expected to have that opinion, that were very much like you and I, or kind of more on maybe on your side of it, that are now telling on people for not behaving. You know what I mean?
Like yeah, it's kind of, I've been hearing things like that too, and I haven't seen that directly here yet, but I'm starting to wondering if people that I've known who share my similar way of thinking or claim to, I wonder how willing they'd be to kind of say, my neighbor sure is coughing a lot, or I saw somebody having a bunch of people over last night and they really shouldn't have. Right. And I wonder, when all is said and done, I think we're going to have a little bit of introspection and be like, all that bravado that we've been talking about for years. And again, I'm talking about my kind of, I guess you call it community or subculture, whatever you want to call it, the Second Amendment folks, kind of have that realization, like, oh yeah, when it comes down to it, I'm a big pussy just like everybody else. Because there really is, and but again, I get why there isn't, and I'm glad there isn't like this resistance to it, because if it is something that's effective, then obviously, thank God it's being done. Even though I think we can all agree to some of the extent of it is just absurd. Seeing a father get arrested for playing t-ball in the park with his son. Right. Literally gets arrested for 15 minutes, and until the police officer who arrested him, called in and said, should we release him or actually charge him or something. I'm kind of rambling, but
no, it makes sense. Yeah,
it's just such a confusing time, and it's like I think it's such a unique scare, it's such a unique threat, because it's not like an external. Yeah, it's not an external thing that we can fight. We can't, you can't shoot it to death or beat it up to death or it's just wait and hope, and then really there really is no authority to kind of to rely on other than the government if you're looking for somebody to be that protector figure.
Right. I think what's sort of what's scary to me is not necessarily this current moment or whatever's going on, because I think it's not really productive to drift out of the territory that it is as dangerous as we think it is. But simultaneously, what I'm afraid of is that now the government has a real-time experiment to see what people will do with the threat of something like this, like how willing they are to comply.
Well, yeah, okay, I'm gonna use the Second Amendment, and I swear it's not because I'm singly focused on that, but it's just I think it's a good example. But okay, the new projections are 60,000, right? That's the new possible
It's gone down,
projection. Yeah. Realistically, you can have, a pro-gun control Democrat or candidate or whatever say, listen, 60,000 people died, and how many more would have died if we didn't do all these measures? Every year, 15,000 people are murdered by firearms. In 4 years, that's, in 10 years, there's this many. This is why, guns are even a bigger threat than a virus or something like that. Or, you could, I'm trying to think of a right analog for it. I guess I can't really think of like kind of.
It would be starting some kind of warfare, or I mean, if we're going to kind of go with the neocons, yeah.
We need to, if we don't surrender our freedoms, then we'll have another 9/11 times 1,000, or I guess could be, something like that.
I think like probably more realistically, what it'll be is a massive military budget, because if the military has to step in to start doing things, it's going to be like, look, we need $4 trillion to beef up our national security from something that's completely invisible. So it's sort of a
we need to build 4 times as many of those tanks that the military doesn't want. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's I think what kind of the fear is, and so
that's I didn't even think of that avenue.
I just feel like this is not an original saying, but it's like with every crisis there's an opportunity. So it just depends on how insidious the person is that chooses to capitalize on that crisis. And I don't trust any of these fucking people that are leading us.
Here's the thing, and I think one of the reasons that everybody on both sides, not everybody, but the overwhelming majority of people on both sides, are kind of accepting the what we're hearing and complying to some extent. I think it's because it's not a partisan thing. It's coming from, even though there's bickering and everything, there's a universal kind of pushing for this from both sides, and I think that gives people comfort because, well, if it's not coming from Democrats or just the Republicans, then clearly there's some, there's something to it. I'm kind of the mind that's like thinking, well, the fact that it's coming from both maybe should also be a concerning thing, because if there really ever was some, kind of authoritative, network or cabal, they're not going to be pushing it from some kind of partisan angle.
No.
And again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and I just want to make it clear that I'm not saying that any of this stuff, that isn't valid and are these concerns are absolutely justified. I'm just saying
we are opining on kind of that realm, but I think it's fair to talk about. I mean, George Carlin said it best, which is when both parties are are in agreement. I'm paraphrasing. When both parties are in agreement, they're about to make a really terrible decision that fucks you. And
absolutely, yeah.
And I mean, that's the kind of thing of like you look at the Iraq War vote. It was these horrible decisions that we look back on in hindsight were completely pretty much bipartisan across the board, with the exception of the few people that you and I are fans of to this day. So.
Yeah, and speaking of that, this is just kind of a little side thing, but I'm pretty sure that Rand Paul wasn't able to vote. I think he was quarantined.
He was, yeah.
And I was just thinking, what a convenient thing for that.
That was really
he has that kind of, because he couldn't in good conscience have voted for it, but at the same time he gets to say, oh no, I didn't vote against it.
Yeah, that is real. I did have the thought, I think it was just because it kind of had popped up in my thing of how, because he would have been somebody that would have made a stink, because generally with these kinds of things he does, and usually it's in the correct direction, but yeah, it was very strange that he was incapacitated.
And the people of Kentucky would not have forgot the fact that he said no $1,200 for you.
Right. Well, that's what's interesting. There's a few reporters from The Intercept that are trying to do research to actually look at the voter roll on it, because I actually find that incredibly scary. They're not letting us see it.
Yeah. When did that become even a possibility?
I don't know. I have no idea.
That's the thing. That's one of the big fears I have, other than the economic ramifications and the virus itself, is that we're just assuming that the government has all these authoritative powers when something bad goes down, when there's a crisis, and then they can just pretty much do what they want. We all just kind of have this idea like, oh well, yeah, there's got to be some kind of clause that gives them all these authoritative powers when shit hits the fan, but it really doesn't. But at the same time, I kind of follow a lot of different political people on the fringe, I guess you'd say, and a lot of them are bringing up the constitutionality of this, and they're kind of sounding the alarm. and I hate to admit this, but I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm not in the mood to hear this. Like, I just want to I want to go with the herd in this one, and I hate that. But I
because
do
I
want to
think
just kind of suspend suspicion and just.
I think it's largely because you watch these people. I mean, for instance, my mother, she called me the other day and she was really upset about this video that my dad watched on Boomer Book, and it was some hot blonde. She didn't tell me what network it was on. I assume it was probably OAN or something like that.
God.
Yeah. Which if you guys don't know, it's like a relative. It's growing, but it's like basically like the it's like the Trump network more than Fox, but it's independently funded by
Trump
some billionaire
AIPAC network.
Pretty much, yeah. But anyway, so it was some hot blonde, she said, and she was going on this ramble about how this is all a fucking conspiracy and blah 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 blah. And I she got really upset about it. And when I tried to calm her down by saying, look, a lot of times people, she had some points. I forgot exactly what they were that she said. I think a lot of it had to do with kind of what we're covering here about the constitutionality about some of these actions we're taking. And I'm like, there's merit there, but the problem is that she's just channeling her frustration about something, the situation she's in, into something that's not productive, and that's kind of, and my point of even making that is kind of saying that's why I'm not really letting myself get emotionally too impacted by this. So like, I want to make it very clear that I wanted to talk to you about this, just because I find it interesting from a philosophical angle of just kind of. Because I think, and again, this is going to sound super Alex Jonesy and alarmist, but I've always wondered, in Nazi Germany, why did the people go along with it? Like, because it wasn't fear at first. It was after a while, but I think,
I have a kind of an answer, and here's what's scary is the reason that the German people went along with it. And this kind of gets lost to, when we talk about Hitler, we always say, oh, he was so charismatic and all this, and that was definitely part of it. But this was in the Weimar Republic after World War I. They were in dire poverty. Inflation had basically rendered the currency useless. And, of course, they were looking for a scapegoat. So that's when Hitler said, oh, it's the Jews and it's the international, cabal. And it was weird because we're not in that position yet. But now we're about to head in it. So like people are all scared of being, Trump equals Hitler, and it's like we're kind of gearing up to actually be in a position where an actual Hitler could gain, extreme popularity through promising some kind of, retribution to the enemies who did this and inspiring some kind of hope through weeding out the problems.
And again,
it
would be exactly the same, because that's smarter people than me have been kind of parroting the line of like the person that's going to come after him is going to be much scarier than him. And again, it's like and we all know, we've already seen it from all the mainstream outlets, is ramping up the anti-China rhetoric, and it's never really focused on the government. It's always kind of on the nation. And it's very nationalistic rhetoric, which is weird to see it coming from like even Time is saying shit like this, which is, but at the same time it's weird because like they're ramping up that rhetoric, but at the same time they're still super anti-Trump, which is weird,
really really conflicting. It's kind of like good news, and this is one situation where good news is actually something that would get ratings because people love hearing good news, but they're not going to report the good news because they want to pin everything they can on Trump. But I do have a question that you just kind of said something that reminded me.
Sure.
Now you said kind of like and this goes on not just the media, but I'm seeing this a lot with people online and people I talk to, whatever. But the anti-China rhetoric isn't just the Communist Party. It's it's geared at China itself. And I wonder what you think about the idea that in a nationalist country like China, or at least a country where there's indoctrinated kind of patriotism and this kind of fervor, at what point do you separate like even if it's not their fault, even if it's through indoctrination, and this can apply to America as well, all the kind of
or our soldiers, and it's some war, it's like war for Christ kind of thing, like in the Middle East, like that kind of shit. Yeah.
But at what point do you actually say, oh well, it's just the government, or what part do you say, well, actually, there are certain nations where, again, this can apply to us, where it's like, you know what, there is an actual kind of ideology that's shared.
Yeah,
you know,
I think what's tricky is it's this like we have kind of been indoctrinated kind of more coming from the left wing circles of this country about cultural relativism and how and it's such a mistake. It's this thing of like, you know, if you're enjoying your way of life, some cultures are objectively worse. It's not to say that like, and that's from your perspective, I think, to be the most fair version of it. But you know, when you really look at China and kind of what they do, I mean, I won't use China, for example, because I don't know if it's the same as this, but this is an article I was reading about Japan today, and Japan has such an intense work culture that there's a team in the government that actually has to go to old people's houses and remove their bodies and the kids have not seen them for like 10 years because they have there's like such a disconnect because work is what's valued most over anything else, it's made them the most what's the word I'm looking for?
What is this?
Physical, but it's like monetary stuff, but
fiscal?
But
physical and fiscal. What are you saying?
Developed, like technologically advanced, like the illusion of comfort through technology and all this money, but they're a really kind of miserable populace that isn't procreating, and so it's like they thought they were valuing the right things rather, but they weren't, and Asia, like a lot of Asia, kind of has a similar energy to it. Is that too rough to say, Sean? Or
I have no clue. I can't say.
Well, there's a strange combination with, and I'm not a religious person, but there's something that's a strange combo when you get intense nationalism and atheism simultaneously, where human life kind of goes out the window. And we've seen that in Vietnam, the Koreas. We've seen it in North Korea in particular. We've seen it in China for sure, just because of the amount of mass death that people don't even really learn about, like the Great Leap Forward, for example.
Yes. Did you say Soviet Union? I'm not sure.
Forgot that one too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and again, because when you combine, and I'm my feelings about religion. I'm not an atheist, but I'm not religious at all, and I do think that it can be destructive. So I'm not championing it, but yeah, when you have atheism coupled with nationalism or this belief, in a system like communism or whatever it is, that becomes the religion. And, you can see it's very easy to justify horrific things, loss of life, starvation, killings, whatever, because the good of the state becomes the thing, the sole purpose of the state. So
right.
It's like, you lose the individuality and it becomes, well, for the greater good on such an extensive level.
Right.
So yeah, and I'm not saying that China, I don't want to, project my, the stereotypes that we hear on China as being, the reality of it, because I honestly never been there and I don't know. But I mean, I have heard from people who like China, from people who dislike China, people who've been there. And they say, well, there is a mentality or and again, it's not genetic, it's not racial, it's just the culture and the government, propaganda, indoctrination, whatever it is, that's just different. It's different from us.
I think a lot of the people that I talk to that make the cultural relativism argument haven't really traveled to these places. And or like really any poverty-stricken nation like that isn't in South America. It's kind of like they go to Mexico and they're like, oh my God, but it's like a lot of like Eastern Europe, even, you just kind of get this, there's like a darkness that you can feel it. It's like palpable.
Yeah.
But to bring it back around to this whole thing is, we don't want that here, but it's like almost like the fear that I have is that this could lay the groundwork for something like that happening.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's kind of a win-win situation for the government or for the authoritarian state, because if really bad shit happens and the original estimation for loss of life is correct, and the government can say, well, see, this is why you need this, the strict authoritarianism. And if it turns out that it's only 60,000, and I'm putting quotes around only because it's still a horrendous number, but if it's a much less than we initially thought, the government can say, well, thanks to our actions, thanks
Right.
to our stepping in, and we saved how many countless lives. There really, there really isn't any way that they don't come out of this kind of with the ability to justify their actions. And I'm worried that so many people, if we do manage to get out of this relatively unscathed, compared to original estimates, there's definitely going to be this just financial hell that we're going to be dealing with. And I'm wondering if the fact that we're going to feel saved from a virus, and all of a sudden we're kind of economically destitute. I fear that that's going to really drive people to just say, you know what, I'm surrendering my, my kind of my self sovereignty to, because we need the state. I need the state. We all just need to shut up and heed their advice. And there's a possibility of that.
Yeah, I have a lot of fear about it too. But so I think we should no more black pill stuff. But this is what I wanted to talk to you about because it is about psychology. It's about like the group kind of collective psychology. So I guess the question I'll end this on is: do you have, despite all that darkness, do you have any advice for people that are kind of maybe psychologically struggling? I know.
It's a hard. I'd love to say, well, compare this to other times and how terrible the influenza in 1917. There's just so many horrific things that we can't even fathom. I would love to say, just be thankful it's not that, or try to put in perspective the fact that we're going through this horrific thing with the 21st century luxury of basically staying at home and watching Netflix and not having to worry about starving and stuff. But ultimately, I mean, I think it would be kind of insincere to pretend that anybody can predict anything. Really, it's just kind of a wait and see thing.
It is.
In the meantime, there's absolutely no reason to assume that it's going to be Mad Max in 6 months, or that. I think last time you mentioned, there have been people who've already taken their own lives, and it's just like, just wait.
I know.
For all we know, in 6 months we're gonna be like, man, remember that Corona outbreak?
Right, and even then, like, even if shit does hit the fan and it does turn to Mad Max, don't you want to fucking witness that?
Yeah,
because like even if you die, like it's just like shit. Like if there is something else after this, which maybe it's like I got to fucking see that shit on the ground. Are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
So I don't know, and so hopefully you and I will be we'll team up and we'll become warlords and take over a couple states.
Yeah, I gotta work on my Lord Humongous mask.
Yes, just walk away. For everyone here is too young to probably know the original Mad Max.
Right over my head.
But I'm going to let you go, and then because I think we got to start the thing over because we're running out of time, and one of Sean's friends, hopefully she comes back and we can get her in here. So
cool.
There was no reply, but we'll see.
All right, buddy. It was nice talking to you.
See ya.
Good talking, man.
Later. Let's just end it. Boop. Yeah, she's in there for a second, but I was trying to.
Was she?
Yeah, she was. She popped up for a moment, and then she disappeared. So let me text you. Then I'll start another one, and I'll text it to you.
Okay.
And then you can send it to her.
Great.
Okay. Let's see if we can make this easier here. Chat. Nope, not chat. Participants. And then invite. And then copy URL.
Yeah, I'm a little bummed out.
I'm sorry about that. I knew it would be.
It's all
dark,
good.
But
big boys were talking.
I think we're just gonna kind of. Well, I just wanted to cover that. I wanted to have it on record, but but then because I'm gonna probably clip that out, and so it's like in. So let me send that to you now.
Yeah, Yana actually just texted me. I genuinely was politely waiting for Neononi to finish. She will come. So I'm gonna text you the code, the invite.
Let me catch up on some comments. Sorry.
Yeah, of course.
So Greg, with his internet, he was talking. He says, "What I was going to say is, it's interesting to hear about how vital internet or data access is going to be when there's a lot of us in rural America who I'm sure are stuck. We only have one internet provider. I fucking hate when states do that.
Yep.
Or cities that will service out here, and they can't even guarantee speeds, stats, and even truly functional for what's coming. What's so annoying is the government gave internet providers the funding to make fiber optic networks. They just didn't use it. They just kept it.
Very cool.
This is a long time ago, but they were supposed to build an infrastructure, but they never did it. Greg also says, and it's not like with all that's going on, we can all start relocating. Yeah, no kidding. Ordro says, I don't have much advice of my own, but Stoic philosophy has some wisdom in managing anxiety. To paraphrase from Stoic writing, we should only worry about what we can control. There's far more misery caused by the anticipation of future pain and more anxiety in reflecting on our weakness that we lose sight of the present and our ability to affect the world around us. That's very, very well said. Perry Allen says, man, I really want to build a Mad Max truck. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's let Yana in.
Yana is here.
Oh, no, it always disappears for a second and then it comes back.
She'll come back.
All right. Ah, hello. Oh my God. You're on the spot now.
Hey there.
I was like watching and I was like waiting and then this came. Hello.
Yeah, so we did it once where we had everybody in it one. Well, you watched it, it was chaos. We had to kind of do one at a time.
Yeah, I need to turn that off. I can't be looking at myself like that.
Well, unfortunately, we have to. But then it's like I've noticed that like if I start to focus on myself too much, then I'll notice something that's like kind of astray or out of place, and
you'll fix it,
and then my attention span is that
it's awful. It's that of a chipmunk.
Well, then now I found out that I might have ADD. So
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
The audio okay and everything. The video, audio.
Yeah,
you look great. Sound great.
Yeah, I think you're the best connection we've come across so far. But I think it's because you probably have Frontier as well.
Oh, I think it's Time Warner, maybe.
Well, I don't know. I'm surprised then, because but you look great. Yes. How are you feeling?
I was preparing my answer. Hold on. I was gonna say, I've been okay. Like nothing has changed for me. Like physically, socially. If anything, I've been thinking about the world and the future more than I have in previous times. But I'm okay. I mean, I check up on my friends more. I'm with my family more. It's hard. Like, I'm not incredibly anxious. The only thing that I probably am struggling with is the music thing. We've talked about it. Like, the future. It's something that it's hard to avoid when thinking about. And I have a lot of friends who are in the live music industry, and I don't think they realize. Like, I don't think they don't know.
Either they don't realize, or they don't really want to admit it. But it's kind of it's one of those things of it's this. So many people think that, like, yes, I think that there will be a rush of people that will want this for a moment, but if it comes back and I think that people are underestimating how deep this is going to get into people's psyche, in terms of like the sickness, how we're all gonna be wearing masks in public. I think
I went out today and every single person except for one was wearing a mask.
100%.
Even all of the employees.
4 weeks ago, I went to like a grocery store, and my family has been crazy about masks since the get-go, like 2 months ago. So we don't go anywhere. And fortunately, we have some N95s. So
yeah.
And in the beginning, we got some looks, and like I even got like heckled at Vaughn's for wearing one like weeks ago. Yeah, like they yelled because they were like, girl, what? Like they thought I was sick, or they thought I was overreacting. I don't know what it was, but many times I got strange looks, and now if you don't wear one, you get heckled. It's really crazy. I was telling people so long ago, like, who weren't believing in the efficiency of wearing masks. Like, you can see on Instagram, people like of celebrities wearing masks, you can see the comments are like, it doesn't help, stop wearing it, give it to the medical professionals. It's like, put that shit on your face, stop pretending like it doesn't work.
Well,
even if it doesn't only protect the other person rather than yourself, it still is. It's a two-way street. I'm wearing one. Maybe I think I'm protecting myself, and maybe I am or I'm not, but I'm definitely protecting somebody else if I am.
Well, that's the thing. Is like, I don't know if you noticed that the rhetoric shifted, where they started to use, which was so. I don't know why they weren't speaking like that from the beginning. Of like, it's not about you, it's about everybody else. Like,
because people don't think like that. Even the majority of people who are wearing them now don't think that they're wearing them to save anybody else. They're doing it because they think they're protecting themselves.
Isn't that so fucking sad?
I mean, to be fair, like, I feel like it's just human nature to not want. If I'm honest, I don't care that much about getting someone I don't know sick. I care about myself and my family, if we're being honest. So naturally, I'm going to be like, okay, let me wear this to protect myself. And whether or not that helps somebody else get sick, that's not really an issue that I'm thinking about. It's sad, but I mean, it's true.
I'm curious though, because if we're all being all honest, we're all that kind of selfish, right? But the thing that I do when I do feel it is when I'm in the grocery store and I see someone really fucking old, like really old, and I'm like, fuck, like that's when I actually feel it, of just like this poor person, you know, that like couldn't come to senior time for some fucking reason, and they're here now with all of us idiots, and it's like that's when I actually feel it, of like, oh God. And it's funny because like the 6 foot rule, like I'll kind of break it, but around people that are that old, I don't. I really stay away from them. Do you do that too?
Well, I've been saying to people, sorry to cut off that, but I've been saying to people, like, now when you are at home, that is your time to be selfish. And when you step outside, that's when you need to switch that off for just a little bit. If you need to go somewhere, be a little less selfish. You can be a little self-serving, like you can get like within 4 feet of people, you know, picking out something at the grocery store. But like, it just, when you're at home is when you have the time to indulge. So self-indulge, watch Netflix all day. Do whatever you can to be selfish then, and then exercise some good personhood when you step outside.
Right.
Whatever you're doing, you know. There's plenty of time right now to be selfish, but in your own home.
Right.
I also think that right now, since one of the only places you can go is the grocery store, it's always busy all the time. Even if you can get what you want for 2-3 weeks in advance, people are always there. And yeah, they do have like the markers on the floor telling you to stay like 6 feet apart, but as far as I've seen, people don't really stay away from you, and it's hard to get away from that. So my family and I just don't really leave unless we need to. We just try not to, whatever it is.
Well,
we used to go to like Home Depot.
Yeah. There's a lot of changes that we've made. Like I don't think we should have. I mean, I don't think we should really have been going to the store as much as we did anyway. Like I would go just to, I forgot a thing, and now it's kind of like, it really isn't something we should have been doing much anyway. It should be like, get the shit you need for, you know, at least 4 or 5 days, and then don't make that decision to go again. Because again, it's like, you know, even aside from a health issue, it's like you're still getting in your car, you're driving, you're doing all this kind of stuff that, you know, we as like good liberals have been saying we shouldn't be doing anyway, but we do it. And so I think it's made us kind of more maybe cognizant of the decisions we've been making, sort of like kind of automatically, like robots. And I don't know. So like maybe a correction in that is not too horrible of a thing to end up doing. I don't know.
Yeah. I just think that there is a majority of people who don't yet understand the severity of the problem, like, and also the social changes I feel like that are going to come with it. A lot of people, I keep hearing people say like back to normal in terms of like education or their social lives or stuff like that. And like you said, like even when we do have a vaccine and this particular strain of coronavirus is handled, now that we're aware that something like this can happen, a lot of us aren't going to be willing to take that kind of risk anymore. I know personally, I don't think I would, for my sake, for my family's sake. It's just not something that I'm interested in doing. And I think a lot of people, I mean, it's like half and half. Half of the people think everything's going to be all right and fine and dandy and everything's going to go back to normal. And the other half are like, I don't want to go anywhere where more than 15 people are there.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And well, I'm kind of curious because your family left Eastern Europe and like left because of kind of like a lot of totalitarian kind of shit.
Yeah.
And so like, does that inform any of their feeling about some of this restriction?
Well, in a way, that is a really good question. Okay, so my family, they were in Bulgaria at the time that Chernobyl happened, and Kiev is Kiev is kind of close to the northern city that they lived in, Silistra in Bulgaria, and they held a parade. I can't remember what they were celebrating, but they held a parade, and they were told to cancel it, but they didn't. I guess at that time, Ukraine was probably hiding information on the severity of, the radioactivity. So it rained that day in the parade. So everyone was exposed. Fuck, they had no idea that they shouldn't be outside, that they shouldn't be eating the produce, and a lot of people got thyroid cancer because of that. My mom included.
God.
So I think because of that I think they have faint memory of being very distrustful of the government. So very early on, we started wearing masks. We started not going a lot of places. Like my dad stopped going to his work before they told him to stop coming, because he was like, I don't want to take a risk. I have a family. I have medical problems. I don't want to come. And I started texting my manager, like, I feel like we shouldn't be open. We're a restaurant. And it was a couple days before California had imposed the restriction. So I think we were all like, I don't think the CDC is telling the truth. I don't think the WHO is telling the truth. And I think because of that, especially, I mean, it's not necessarily like you said, like they changed their rhetoric for the masks, but it's 100% because the PPE just isn't in such low supply in the country that you can't just tell everybody yes, masks and N95 work, because then everyone's going to get them, and then the healthcare workers can't use them. So I think unfortunately everyone is just kind of left to fend for themselves. If you have a brain, use it, and if you don't, and you get most of your information from like the press like reports, then I don't know what to tell you. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's most people. Like, it's interesting because I think that like you and everyone that kind of listens to us regularly. I mean, I think the reason why they kind of sought us out is this kind of thing of they're not people that really have been trusting that narrative. The masses do need to. They need they need daddy to tell them what to do. I mean, that's kind of like the sort of thing, and it's like how they live their life, and so. I think that, because that was sort of the thing that's interesting. Like now that we've kind of made homemade masks, which logically, I mean, yes, the N95 is the ideal scenario because it has a filter on it. But simultaneously, like the people who are hoarding the the very thin medical grade ones, I'm like, these cannot be more effective than ones that are well made out of cloth. Because like really, all we're looking to do is to stop debris theoretically. From because that seems to be the main, because it's not airborne technically is what they're saying, it's projectile issues of like it actually coming from but again that keeps changing every fucking day, so who knows. but in the meantime, it's like the best, I think it was Dr. Drew that said it, and it's accurate, which is just like at the very least, if you're wearing one, it gets you to stop touching your face. So
yeah. And at the same time, I think a lot of people mishandle the use of masks. Like they don't sanitize them and they reuse them, and then you touch them and you touch other things. So yes, it's like I understand people saying that that there are a lot of people who don't know how to use masks, but that should not cancel out the use of masks at all. No. At all. Because if you do end up infecting yourself, say you touch your mask, you touch yourself, you still don't get somebody else sick from you coughing. You know what I mean? And with the surgical masks versus the cloth masks, I'm honestly not too sure about that. I guess that makes sense because of the holes, but I'm not sure. Thing. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I feel like anything helps. Anything.
Well, I mean, it kind of depends. Like, it's one of those things of like the ones that Sean made. Like I've noticed that basically, like, it's because I used to when I was working with fiberglass on boats. It was one of my first jobs when I was like 18, 19. You would know I'd use respirators, right? So like I would know I'd have to change the filters when I started to smell the fumes, essentially, right? And so it's like what they seem to kind of cover, because like I'll pass by something fragrant and I have like a pretty intense sense of smell. I smell it like a little bit, which is kind of my indicator, very similar to like that mindset of like, this is protecting me enough. 'Cause I remember when I would start to smell the fumes to the filters, I'd be like, I've got about 4 or 5 days with this, and then I got to change them. And so I think. Just logically, it's not even logic. It's just my own personal logic. I feel like this thing getting like it would protect you from the general kind of stuff, but again, I at the very least, it's that kind of thing of, it seems like one of the biggest problems is that so many people can be asymptomatic and still transfer it. So still, which is why it makes it smart of then not infecting somebody else who may be more susceptible, because like your parents, for example, or people in kind of similar situations. But so I think we're almost at 2 hours here.
Yeah, we are.
So do you have any advice to give anybody that's kind of hopeful? If not, that's fine. But I just kind of question I've been asking everybody. Or just like something to feel better, or something to do that you've done that's made you feel better.
I think I look back to other events and catastrophes that feel that like they were so devastating to society, but we still managed to come back from it. And I don't want to sound like, I don't want to sound insensitive, but I do know that there is some sort of silver lining in the future. I feel like people as a whole are like so adaptive that whatever the outcome, there is going to be some sort of silver lining. I feel like at the end of this, there's going to be a lot of shit to go through socially, mentally, financially for a lot of people. And that's just something you have to prepare for now rather than get hit in the face with later. But I do think that there is a light at the end of the tunnel eventually. So.
For sure. Yeah, like one of the ones that I'm expecting pretty fully is taking a really hard look at how needlessly mobile we were required to be.
Right.
Like even flying. Like why are people flying for business when we can do this? Like I'm some dummy in a bedroom and I can see you clearly and we can talk to each other. And why is this not the standard mode for all kinds of work? Working remotely, I think, will be picked up. Teledoctoring is one I've talked about too, where it's like, why do we have to go to a primary care doctor to get referred to another specialist when we could just do it over the phone and they send the referral over? So I think that like a lot of bloat that has been caused by government regulation will have to be forcefully reduced after this, because they're not going to have any fucking money to fund anything. So it's going to be kind of, I think, tightening of the belt. So I think that the economic problems are going to be intense, but
yeah.
I think that may ideally result in streamlining our society in a positive way, hopefully.
I agree. I do think so. And maybe that's because I'm trying to be optimistic, because if I'm not optimistic, then I'm depressed and I want to kill myself. So I might as well just look forward.
Because negative predictions, it's like we don't really know what's going to happen. And that's kind of what Nianoni was saying too. It's like we don't know what's going to happen. So what's really the point of dwelling on that, really? It's better in like don't expect something great to happen, but just kind of say maybe or I hope,
Yeah.
And
exactly.
so we all gotta have hope. So I'm gonna let you go here, and then we're gonna close it out.
Yeah, Yana, it was so good to talk to you.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
Did I talk too much? Because I feel like you didn't get to.
No, not at all. There's one thing I do want to close on, and it's like this. I know I talked about being selfish and like focusing on yourself and stuff, but also like as an example to sort of talk more about that. Like I'm in school right now. My schooling is obviously important to me, but if I don't do well this semester, no one's going to give a shit. Everybody who has lived through 2020 currently will look back and be like, oh yeah, that was the fuck year. We all got fucked. Who gives a shit what your GPA was that year, or if you got pass, no pass, and failed all your classes? I'm taking it easy in that regard because and this is very relatively recent, but I'm taking it easy in that regard because it's not going to matter. These small things, these small institutional things, like just because I maybe do less well, I do poorly this semester does not mean anything in the grand scheme of things. We're all suffering right now, but because of that, you can sort of choose what you want to sacrifice and what to prioritize. So I've taken a lot of time to prioritize things that are important to me, like sewing, and so like if you are able to do that and you have weird obligations and weird responsibilities that don't make a whole lot of sense right now, like Yana was saying with her family calling out of work before California shut down everything. Like if you're able to prioritize things that are important to you, you should do that because now's the time.
And I think what's interesting is really this. I think a lot of people are or starting to consider what they thought was important before, and then especially when economics get wild, people are going to really start to think about that, and it could potentially be a positive realignment in our values.
It could be dangerous as well, depending on how people swing, but
we can't just.
It's not worth it. So for now, focus on what's important to you.
Yep. So let me just read all these, and then we'll close it out.
Yeah.
Greg says, advice I'd offer: don't crucify yourself for poor mental health days. Take it in stride and just realize it's all coming and going in waves for everyone. Yep, that's very, very good advice. Nianoni says, oh shit, did I interrupt when I came in? I finally was able to hear you and didn't see anybody else in the chat. Nope. We were trying, because I wanted to talk to you about that, so I was trying to get you as kind of a separate thing. I wanted to lead with it so we didn't make it too bleak for everybody, but it's all right that it's in the middle. Jacob says, yeah, talk to people if you get lonely. That's really good advice. I've really enjoyed actually just FaceTiming people, and a lot of people that I in my personal life, I'm such an isolationist even before this happened that I found myself actually, because there's not a huge commitment, also everybody is free and they can't really blow it off. Whenever, just give me a FaceTime call, and it makes a big difference for my own mental health. Greg says, and yes, I understand I use crucified 2 days before Easter. I'm a Catholic church boy. Leave me alone. Jacob says, where can we get Supreme and Gucci masks? They're coming. I'm telling you.
That's awful.
Especially because I guarantee you that places are going to start requiring you to wear them, and then that people are going to start to flex their fit. Because if you go to our streetwear, they were already doing masks before people were supposed to wear masks.
Yeah, they were.
Sabian 2014 says a mask will also prevent you from touching your face, which we all do too often, even without thinking about it. Yep. Jacob Larson says, I feel like professors are just going to pass everyone. Jacob, yes, I agree with that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe. But I think that they're going to at the very least grade everything on a curve.
Absolutely. My econ professor actually sent out an email 2 days ago after the exam scores went up, and he was like, look, you guys did really well on the exam, but we're missing in-class points that you could be getting right now, and so we'll make up for that if you guys perform the same way that you're performing now.
Sure.
So,
Jacob says, I feel like you have no motivation to do these online classes.
None.
Yeah.
And I totally get it. But also, I heard on a podcast today, and back to education, but on the podcast where my mom's at, Leanne Kreischer went on Christina P's podcast, and she was talking about how her kids who are in high school and middle school, which isn't super relevant to being in college, but kids who are in that can now just solely focus on learning rather than focusing on what they're going to wear today and are they going to impress the cute boy and will he talk to me? What's my locker combination? None of that fucking matters. So all you have to do is sit in your pajamas and learn from, I think a lot of schools in LA are doing actual school schedules. So 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. or 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. or something like that. Or the LA United School District. But that's all they have to focus on now.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sabian says, I teach.
I don't know.
States are lowering the bar or removing it altogether. So there you go.
And they should right now.
Yeah, it's just because it's I think that if this if this continues on, let's say, I doubt it's going to happen it might, but let's say theoretically, if fall semester starts up and this is still going on, you're not going to have this leeway. But the fact that this happened kind of nearing the last quarter of most people's school, you can't no teacher could really adjust to this in time, and there's a lot of different issues, and so it seems kind of unfair to judge students in a normal kind of way.
Agreed.
And then I'll close on Greg's comment here. Fashion masks are coming. It's their workaround to consider themselves essential.
So true. They're going to bring their factories back so people can start sewing for them again. They can have their little sweatshops.
Yep. Yep. And Sabian, you're new. If you like what we do, I don't know how long you were here, but subscribe.
Yeah.
And we do these call-in shows every Monday and Friday. Then we do a normal kind of just podcasty thing on Wednesday, which is
our regular stuff.
Our regular stuff.
Thanks for being here, you guys.
Yep. And then also share it with people if you want to do that. That would be nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because YouTube hates people that aren't don't have huge audiences or aren't Jimmy Fallon. All right, we love you all. Goodbye.
Love you guys. Bye.